Welcome back to Hot Next Gen Careers. This is the place where we're helping you find your career for that is future proof, that is high paying, and doesn't necessarily require a college degree. Because we really want to give everyone, this is the Senior Year Game Plan podcast. We want to talk to all high school students and their parents, even the ones that don't necessarily love academics, weren't really strong in school, but they still want to get that high paying career. Now is a great time to open up to the idea of certificate programs and not necessarily going to college, because at the end of the day, Indeed has come up with, and the reports are all out there, that places like Indeed that are job boards are not really looking for that bachelor's degree anymore. They're not even asking about your education credentials. So people who don't love academics and don't have the money or the time to spend years and years in college can now still get into, or not still, but now suddenly they can get into the game also. And so no matter what you like to do, there's a career for you that you probably don't have to get your bachelor's or your master's degree in. I'm not talking about you doctors, you lawyers, you still have to go to school. But everyone else, there's a lot of wiggle room out there. So we're here to explore that. I have Amari, who is a senior in high school at Forest Hills High School in Queens, New York. She is here to give us the about to enter college perspective, or about to graduate high school and what are you going to do after that perspective. And we have an amazing youth empowerment specialist, Oren Williams, hailing from New Jersey, but it doesn't matter because we're all online anyway. He's going to talk to everybody here about how you can potentially go about figuring out what it is you might want to study, or if you want to go to college, or if college isn't quite for you. And today we're particularly with the bent of psychology, because youth more and more are choosing a psychology major. Could it be because of the mental health issues that are caused by COVID? Could it be the true crime series that are out there, or maybe just a dissatisfaction with all of the computer generation, all of the AI, and wanting to get back to the human element of it. So I want to actually, that was a kind of a question for Amari, you love psychology, or you like psychology. Does any of that strike a chord with you of why you're interested in it? Is it true crime? Is it the mental health after COVID? Or what is it about psychology? Is it that you want to work with people? What interests you?
Do so
So
many different
psychology was
things.
not my go-to
When I look
career
back,
path. I
I see
wanted to
that the
do so many
connection would
different
be
things.
working with
And
people. So each of
when
those
I look
different
back,
fields would
I see
either
that the
maybe
connection would be
I had
working
to
with
have some
people.
interaction
So
with
each of those
someone.
different
It
fields would
wouldn't be
either
just behind
maybe
a desk
like
or
I
doing
had to
something
have
that would
some
be away
interaction
from
with
social.
someone.
I would
It
have to
wouldn't be
socialize
just
with a lot
behind
of
a
people.
desk or
I
something that would
did,
be
I know
away
I'm
from
an
social.
extrovert
I
person.
would
Like, I
have to
really like
socialize
to
with a
go
lot
all
of people.
out and
So
wildest
I
things.
know I'm an
I would
extrovert
say
person.
that's my
Like I really like to
connection.
go
Maybe
all
that's
out
why I want
and
to do
do the
psychology. That's
wildest
why I
things.
decided to
So
do
I
it.
would say that's
But
maybe
not just
psychology. That's
psychology
why I
overall.
decided to
I
do it.
specified
But it's
area I
not just
wanted to go to
psychology
because
overall.
I
I
currently work with
specified
children,
what
working
area
with
I wanted
them
to
in the
go to
psychological
because
field.
I current
So
the
I feel like it
children,
would bring me
and
joy seeing I
working
would
with
be able
them
to
in the
help them.
psychological,
I had
I don't know, I feel
experience
like it
with
would
my
bring me
cousin. He has
joy seeing I'll be able
autism,
to help
and I
them.
just want to be able to
And I had
understand
experience
things
with
like
my
that,
cousin, he had autism,
brain, why
and
they
I
do
just want
certain
to be
things.
able to
And it's
things
just
like
gonna
that,
be not only
the
to help me
brain, why
for the
certain
money,
things,
but just to see
and it's
people
just gonna
grow in
be
that
not
way.
only to help
I'm
me
gonna
for the
speak
money, but
on
just to
the
see people
whole,
grow in that.
like
I'm
kids
gonna
my
speak
age
on
and in
the
my age
whole
group, because I don't
youth,
know
like
why
from
psychology is
kids
so
my
big right
age
now.
and in my I don't know
Kids, when I
why
hear them talk about
psychology is
psychology,
so big right.
talk about the money. That's
Most
that's really
kids,
what
when
I
I hear
hear.
them talk
It's
about
like it's really
psychology,
high
is
paying because
they talk
you
about the
have to know what
money.
you're doing.
That's what I hear. It's
It's
really
like a
high paying
psychiatrist
because,
does take a lot of
but
school,
being a
college, and I
psychiatrist,
think I'm up for it
it really does take a lot of
because
school,
every
does
time I
take a lot
get to
of
know more about it,
knowledge, and I'm
it's
up
more
for it.
fascinating. I'm reading
Because
many
every time I
books, and I
get to
just
know
like
more
it.
about it,
So,
it's
I
more
don't know.
fascinating.
Okay, so you like the idea. I heard working with people. I heard working with kids, especially young. and then to be an expert and then be well paid to be an expert. And that's something that, as you said, potentially comes with the degree or the multiple degrees. You have to get certified to be a psychologist, get a certificate after 6 months and be one, that's for sure. But Oren, what about you? As a youth empowerment coach, I'm sure you're helping students often figuring out the best career paths based on their strengths and interests and personality. What would you have to say? What do you think about, or what do you know about people's career choices? Have you been working with young people about trying to figure out their career paths or what they might best be suited for or best like?
Yes, I have been spending some time over the last several weeks working with some students in Newark, New Jersey, figuring out career paths. And no one has mentioned psychology in that area, so it's interesting to hear. But I think it is, and I want to ask Amiri, did you feel pressure in trying to figure out, what it is that you do want to do with your future? Because I feel like this is a very pivotal moment in our teens' lives where they're trying to figure out, do I want to go to college, not go to college? What do I want to study? What do I want to be when I grow up? Do you feel like that's like a heavy weight on your shoulder?
Teachers too. They
by
always say
people, I
you have
mean our
enough time,
parents,
don't
our
rush it.
counselors,
But
they all, and the
truly, like,
teachers
be
too.
for real, we
They
don't.
always say you
Because
have
you hit high,
time, don't,
it's
but
like
true, like
this
be for
whole
real, we
bunch of
don't.
different classes you
As soon
have
as
to
you
take,
hit
and then the application they
college,
ask you
it's like
what you want to
this
study.
whole bunch of
And if
different
it's
classes you have
undecided,
to
and
take,
when
and then the
as
application they
a
ask
student,
you
when you
what
pick
you want to study.
undecided, it makes you feel like
The
part of
student, when you
everything, like
pick
you're
undecided,
on
it's
the
like it
outside,
makes you
and you're
like
just a
not
pyramid of
part of
it, because
everything. Like you're
it,
on
it's
the
like you have to know
outside,
what you want to do,
and
if you
you're
want
just
to
like
pick
on
the
the
right
pyramid
school,
of
if
it
you want to
because
be around
you
the
if
right
it's like
people, if
you
you want
have
to
to know
surround
what you want to
yourself
do if
with
you want to
like
pick the right
like
set of people
resources as
around the
well.
right people, if
I
you want to
wouldn't say
surround
that I
yourself
was
with like
pressured,
the
but
right
there was
resources as well.
those
So
thing that
I wouldn't say that
everyone,
I was
I felt that
pressured,
every single
but
person,
there
even though
was
I'm
those
not
thing that
pressuring you, or
everyone
you could take
I
your
felt
time,
that every single person,
truly
even though
one knows that
pressuring
you
you
have to,
or
is
you your
thinking about it,
time,
like you have to like
truly or
look up,
everyone
like
knows
look
that you
at
have
what you're
to
interested
be
in,
thinking about
look
it.
at
Like
if
you
you
have to like
actually want to do
at
those things
least
that you're
look
thinking
up like
about.
look at what
So
you're interested
maybe
look at
different
if you
people are
actually want
pressured
to do
by
those
it.
things that you're
Maybe
thinking
if you
about. So
really don't even know
maybe
what you're gonna
different
go
people
into,
are
maybe that's
pressured
when you're
by
gonna
it.
feel the
Maybe
pressure
if
yourself
you
as well.
like really
If
don't
other
know what you're gonna
people,
go
with the
into,
support I
maybe
had
that's when you're
around
gonna
me,
feel the pressure
I
as
wouldn't say I
well.
was
But if
really
other
pressured,
people
even though
with the
I
support I
did
had
feel
around
a
me,
little,
I
but
wouldn't
it
say I
did
was
give me a
really
push to
pressured,
find
even though
out what
I
I wanted to do
did feel
currently.
a
So
little bit,
it's
but
sometimes
it
good
did
for that.
give me a
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
great
we
to
have
hear.
been in this podcast. Really, that's what I'm trying to hone in on to let youth know that if you haven't figured it out, that it's perfectly acceptable. But B, just
Absolutely.
to okay, you're in that realm of people are forcing you. They're forcing Amri's hand to say about, like you said, pick a major, or else you feel, if you say undecided, that you're not part of anything. If you picked biology, at least you're part of that cohort of people that are going towards that. So it's kind of that little social pressure to attach yourself to one career or another. So I'm trying to get there quickly with a lot of different options to make sure that if you have to, push comes to shove, choose that major. And let's face it, college isn't cheap. Like, you can't be undecided forever. You're going there for a purpose, and you're going to demand that sooner rather than later. So we talked about if you are people oriented or not. And so I wanted to talk about psychology and how that might fit into even the non-traditional path. But before I go into the hottest psychology related careers, let's talk about how you can figure out if you really want to work with people, because liking to hang out with your friends and liking to actually work with people could be completely different. Maybe we can say, Oren, you are working with people you've already committed to, and so have I as a teacher, to working with people. How did you know that you like to work with people? And it wasn't just that you like to hang out with your friends, but then go and work privately or work by yourself. What is it? Because you're around youth, you're doing it for a living. What is it? How did you know that you enjoyed working with people?
That's a great question. I felt like I kind of stumbled into this work. I'm not a teacher by profession or anything like that. I used to work in corporate America, And just kind of as a side thing, I think it was during my time in college, I got involved in student government and held a leadership position. And I started to be someone almost like an ambassador for the school when they would have, students visit. And if they had a panel, they would ask me to, be one of the guests, one of the speakers. And I think that's when I kind of developed and really liked doing those sorts of things. So I guess it was my experience that led me kind of down this path of working with young people specifically. I'm a people person, just like you, Amari. I can be an extrovert, but I can also be an introvert in moments as well. So, working with people has its ups and downs, pros and cons, like everything in life. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I am today and working with youth. I just really developed a liking and a passion for it.
So it sounds like you started with something face to face, like you said, student government when you were in college. And so that right there shows that you are more of a solving problems face to face as opposed to understanding the patterns and behaviors from a distance. Person. Would you agree with that also? Would you prefer to solve problems face to face, or do you like to go back and understand it on your own?
I would say a combination of both. I've held retail jobs. Now everyone knows retail is a face to face business, right? So you definitely have to enjoy working with people. I've even held a job where I was doing telemarketing, and nobody likes telemarketers. You always get hung up on. So if you could tough that out, you have thick skin to work with people. But yeah, I enjoy working with people. I feel like it gives me energy.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me an energy. It excites me. I enjoy it. Even if it's I enjoy it more like in person versus, virtual. Virtual is okay, but that in person energy is just different.
And that's an important factor to think about where you get your energy. So Amari, I would say, would you agree with that you get your energy by socializing or do you prefer to have alone time after a long day?
Alone time after
That
like a
last
very long day
question,
of interacting
I
for
think
hours.
everyone
That's
needs like a
literally
little
me when I
alone
get
time
home.
after like a very
Literally
long
standing
day
up
of
for 4 hours,
interacting for
talking to
hours.
every
That's
single
literally
child,
me when
playing
I
with
get
every
home.
single child.
Literally
I
standing
get
up for
home, I
four
just
hours,
lay down and just
talking
like
to every
pick it
single
all
child,
up.
playing
It's
with
not
every
really a
single
bad
child.
thing.
When I get
It's
home,
just
I just
like a
lay
few
down and
minutes
just
just
like
of
soak it
just
all
for
up. It's
your
not
own
really a
mentality,
bad
for your
thing.
health.
It's a few
But I
minutes
do
just for
agree with
yourself,
Orain
just for
because
your own
sometimes I
mentality, for your
can
health.
be introvert.
But I
I would
do
around
agree
my
with
friends,
Orain
around
because
other people,
sometimes
and
I
just
can
not talk
be
at
like
all.
a
I
little
would just sit
introvert.
there,
I would be around my
listen.
friends,
They
other
would just look
people,
at
and
me and
just
just stare.
not talk
But
at all.
sometimes
I
I
would just
would
sit
be
there
like the
and just
main character and
listen.
everything. I
They
would
would
just
just look at
be
me and
going
just
all
stare,
out.
but sometimes I would be
Yeah,
main
so that's
character and
me.
everything.
Okay, so you would rather work on solving problems like face to face, one on one,
Like
computer.
came
Well,
from during
to
COVID
answer
when
that
we had
question, I think
virtual
my
things going on
experience
and
came
everyone had to
from
get
during
used to
COVID when we
technology,
had a lot of virtual
communicating
things going
over
on and had to get
iPads and the
used to
iPhones.
technology, getting
Really
over
realized I
the
was not
iPads and
the
the
type of
iPhones.
person to
Um,
talk to you like
I
this.
really
I really
realized that
am
I
an
was not a
in-person because
person
like
to
Lauren said,
talk.
you
Yes,
just
I
feel the
really
energy, you
am
feel the
like
vibe, and
in
then
person because, like
you're
Oren said,
able to communicate better because
you
body
just
language
feel
is
the
one
energy,
thing
you feel the
and hearing
vibes,
someone's
and then
voice is
you
a totally
just
different
you're
thing.
able to
So
convey
you
it
could
because
see me,
body
I could
language
see
is
you, I
one
could
thing
be
and hearing
feeling some
voice is
type
a
of way
totally
and you wouldn't
different
even
thing.
know even
Even
by
though you
just
could
looking
see
at
me and I
me.
could see you
Yeah, I
feeling some
would
type
say
of
I
way and
am
you
a
wouldn't
social
even know
person.
even
I
by just
would
looking
rather
at me.
working in person rather
So yeah, I
than
would
being
say I
on a
am a
computer
social
all day.
person.
Okay. And then as far as explaining things to others, do you prefer to do it in person or do you prefer to verbally explain or writing out your thoughts?
On an iPad, and I've been questioning whether to
So
get a
I go to
laptop
school
for
with an
college.
iPad and I take
I
notes on an
realized
iPad,
that
and
just
I've
like
been
my
questioning
mom,
whether to get
I
it for
am like
college.
I
And I
write a lot.
realized
Like I
that
really want
just
to
like
see
my
my notes in
mom,
different color
I am like
pencils and
I write a
all the
lot. Like I
colors.
really want to
So
see my
when it
notes
comes to
in different
explaining or
color
speaking to
pencils and
people, I would say
like
I
all the colors.
be in
So when it
person.
comes to
So
people, I
maybe
would
on
say
a computer it would be a
maybe
little
in
easier
person.
or hearing the voice.
Even though
But when you
maybe
see
on
someone
the
in
computer
person
it
and you're
would be
making
a
eye
little easier
contact
or
and you're
voice.
using your
So when you
hands,
speak to
body
someone
language
in person
again,
and you make
I
eye
think it's also
contact
easier because they could
and you're using
understand
your
like those
hands,
little
body
moments
language
where you're
again,
trying to make a
I think it's
point.
also
It
easier
would like
because they can
put everything
understand
out
like
there
those
rather
little
than
moments
them just
where you're
hearing
trying
your
to make a
voice.
point.
Yeah, true. Good point. Oren, you're working with youth Do you talk to them about or trying to get them to explore or question if they're introverts or extroverts and which career path they might want to look into based on?
Yeah, it's funny. We were having these discussions this week, talking about what kind of office environment would they want to work in, what kind of people do they want to work with? Do they want to work by themselves? Do they like working in a team? Things like that matter. And I think sometimes what students may not understand is that, the typical job is 40 hours a week. You're going to spend a significant amount of time in your career with the people you work with, right? So you want to be in a work environment that you're going to enjoy. You don't want to necessarily be in an environment that may stress you out or that you don't look forward to, and so on and so forth. So it is important to kind of understand what kind of person you are, and how will you best develop in the work environment that's good for you based on your personality.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. And Amari had spoken about, now we're going to talk about psychology or like more extroverted careers. But prior to this, you and I have gone back to, we've spoken about cybersecurity, IT, and data analytics, a lot of like computer facing jobs so far, because we're talking about what are going to be the hot new careers or hot next generation careers that some jobs are going away and then others are going to be created. We've never even heard of them before. So I was thinking after we've spoken about cyber and IT and data analytics and computer, does that sound to you like too much AI, too much computer? I want to be people facing after learning about so much about that. Maybe there's this dread. I'm trying to figure out why youth are so I would say 90% of college students that I talk to or just graduated, they have a psychology major. I'm trying to figure out what's the catch here, and maybe it's because we're just so computer oriented. What do you think, Amari?
So my when you were asking me this was you keep something from someone, is they're gonna want it more. Like because we were born into like everything is us. We have this phone. Everything is like right there in front of us. We don't go out of our way. I feel like being interactive a lot, what we go for me because we have everything right here because we want like than just sitting in front of this phone every single time or technology just being right. It's like an easy tool and one is like many people maybe know how to do technology and it's like the big thing now. So I think kind of threatening our like relationships with different people. We naturally be connected to the fact that we should keep realizing. I guess maybe that's why we're driven towards psychology. Just a thought. I don't know.
Yeah, no, good point. I mean, everything is so digitized. What do you think, Oren? You're talking to youth all the time. Do you get that same feeling that people are maybe gravitating towards more human experiences or a relationship focused type of careers?
I think I've been seeing a mixture of different things
Yeah.
amongst the students that I've been working with. But I think, Amari, you make a very, very valid point that your generation has had technology since before they can speak. Maybe they're wanting to, lean away from that and explore other opportunities, and especially in dealing with those moments where you were, doing school virtually, and just wanting to get back into some people are still adjusting to being back to being in person, being around other students, being around their teachers, and wanting more of that, perhaps.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's reasons to latch on. Obviously, technology isn't going anywhere. It's getting smarter. We need to learn to work with it. And then at the same time, it's causing all kinds of mental health issues that need to be addressed. But so I think that what we're getting for here is if you get energy from outward or working with people, or if you would rather work with data on the back end, both are fine, but just to explore that within yourself, what really does make you tick. And what Oren was saying about the 40-hour work week, now we have more choices of, do we want to work remotely? Do we want to go to the office? Do we want to work with a team? Do we want to work independently? So based on whatever your own personal answers are, will move you towards one direction or another. But as far as psychology goes, there's a few different careers. I'm going to name them right now that it might blow your mind because there's so many names of careers right now that we have never even heard of. So one is a workplace mental health coach. Another is an AI customer experience specialist. And this is for psychology I'm talking about. If you don't want if you like psychology, you don't want the social interaction. There's other ways to get into psychology too. If you like the back end data part, there's the behavioral data analyst or the AI ethics and compliance consultant. So these are a few different psychology centered careers that are new and are going to be game changers and that one can get into without having a doctoral in psychology or even a bachelor's degree. So let me talk a little about I want to go into just one so we can have a little better understanding. Behavioral data analysis, analytics. And we're wondering how we get into the next steps of these types of degrees or this type of career that you never even heard of. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So again, if you don't know if you're an extrovert or an introvert, you can take a personality quiz to find out if you're more of a people person or an analytical thinker. You can then research different certifications, and that's what we're here to do. And also, if you want to get hands-on experience, we're always talking on this program about internships and apprenticeships and doing something in a low-hanging fruit kind of way that you can get into something quickly. That's what I mean by low-hanging fruit. Getting quick, see if you like it. And then if you like this, where you are, you can go and get your degree in it. So you get some experience through either networking, volunteering, internship, apprenticeship into something that interests you. So Oren, I'll ask you, do you have, what do you say to the youth that you work with who are feeling lost and are unsure of which career direction to take? Do you have some best advice for youth, or do you just say experiment? If you're unsure, try it part-time, or if you think you might like it, go for free courses online, or try to experience it, or job shadow. Do you have some good advice?
So my advice is I try to find people who are in that field that you're interested in and have a conversation with them. Ask them, can you connect, if you can connect in person, great. If not, can you set up a Zoom, talk to them for 30 minutes because they are in the field that you are interested in. Have some questions to ask them. If you can come to their job for half a day, that's even better because the worst thing you want to do is, you think you're interested in X. Then you go to school or you take a certificate program and then you get into that field to find out this field isn't for me. Then it's like, now you're back to square one. So I think if you're in between a few things or you have maybe 3 or 5 different things you're interested in, try to connect with people who are in those fields. And if you don't know anybody that's in those fields, reach out to people who might know somebody that's in the field you're interested in, and ask them if they can introduce you to somebody in, X field. So then this way you can actually talk to somebody who's in that field. And maybe you might want to talk to 2 people because you may connect with somebody who's in the field and they may not have good things to say just because they don't like the field. But I think that's some good advice. Try to connect with somebody that's in the field that you might be interested in. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing exactly what you want to do or having, an idea of 3 or 4 different things that you may be interested in to try to narrow down by just speaking to some people that is in that field that you're into.
And the weird part about this is that a behavioral data analyst, you don't find those every day. It's not like, oh, I want to be a teacher. I can just walk down the street and ask anybody who's a teacher. There's lots of them. There's not too many of these behavioral data analysts. So probably something like LinkedIn would be the best bet to connect with somebody with that title. What do you think, Oren? You have a better idea?
Yeah. And then there's another platform, but I don't know the name of it. Somebody told me it's kind of like a LinkedIn, but it's very industry focused. So let me
Like
just
Reddit?
say, I'm gonna just, excuse me?
Something like Reddit?
No, it's not Reddit, but it's a platform specific for people who are wanting to connect with people in a certain industry. So I'm just going to use an industry up. I'm going to just say electrical engineering. And you could go on there and like you make a profile saying you're interested in electrical engineering, and you could connect with people specifically in that industry to say, hey, how do I get to this level or that level? And they help give you guidance. But I just can't remember the name of the website. I'm gonna see if I could Google and find it while we're chatting here.
Okay. So behavioral data analyst, it sounds like you probably hear data and you go, like, I don't want to be with a computer. I don't want to analyze data. But it's really studying human behavior and their trends so that will help companies make better decisions. And that could be analyzing customer shopping habits, social media trends, or workplace productivity. So they are gathering, analyzing, and interpreting human behavior to predict trends and improve decision making. So if you're wondering how Netflix knows what you might be interested in, or Amazon knows what you might be shopping for, that's a behavioral data analytics, right? Front and center, collecting the data and then using humans to understand the emotion behind it, the motivations, the patterns of people. And in that way, it's AI proof because it needs your human insight. We all know that the emotional part AI can't comprehend. So that's where humans come in and are really needed. And who's hiring them? It's tech companies, marketing firms, healthcare organizations, even government agencies. So, Amari, would you say that you're more interested in helping people one-on-one or understanding how people behave in large groups, or do you like both?
You like
Both.
look at them one on
Listen to someone
one
or where
or
you
just observe
when
them one
you
on one.
like
It's sometimes
talk to
different
them
when
one
they're
on
put
one
in a
or
situation
just
of other
observe them
people,
one on one.
when
It's
they're in a group,
sometimes
because
different when
people
they're
tend to
put in a
behave
situation
differently
of other
when they're
people
being watched
or when
or
they're
when
in a
they're
group because
around other
people tend to
people.
behave differently
People
when they're
they
being
want to
watched
impress,
or
or
when
people
they're
they want to feel to
around
be
other
better.
people.
Then
Maybe people
I
want to
would say
impress
both
or
would
people
be
they want to
very
feel to
good
be
to
better.
study something like
So
that.
I would say both
Because, like
would
I
be
said, they
very
behave
good
differently when they're in different
to study
situations.
something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like people start wearing the same sneakers as their friends or using the same slang on TikTok. So these kind of trends might, and that kind of paying attention to trends is something that is human centered. And it also relies on you working on a team to come to some ideas about what are the trends and how can you use that information to advance X, Y, and Z product or company? And so this type of thing, even though it might sound scary because it's using AI and you're analyzing, and that's all stuff that comes from a computer, but it actually is, it needs the human emotion. And it is a great career that lets you work with psychology. You don't need to be super social all the time, but you're still studying people just from a data perspective. So let me just talk about the money part of it. It is a well-paying career because I don't like to waste time on a lot of beautiful careers that don't make money. Teaching is one of them. I was a teacher many years. I have a daughter. I don't recommend it to her. And this is why the average salary for behavioral data analyst is 82,600 in New York. It's closer to 90,000. I'll just say that after 15 years of teaching, I wasn't at 90,000. 15 years of teaching and a bachelor's and a master's. So, and that's in one of the higher paid places in the country. So that goes to show that even with your college degree and your graduate degree and even a doctoral degree, you're not guaranteed anything. So you might as well start to potentially make money quicker. So it's a high paid career. Entry level, $63,000 per year. I'll just say that in New York City, an entry level teacher, it's about $50,000. So it's much higher than a teacher who needs a minimum bachelor's degree. And then if you are experienced, you can earn more than $125,000 per year. Again, that's a 6-figure salary that as a teacher with lots of experience, we don't even get up to 6 figures. So better to work smarter, not harder. And if you guys can get into something like that and start making money right off the bat, then I want to tell you all about it. So Amari, if I told you you earn $80,000 a year, and you didn't need to go to college, you can do an online certification. Would you consider it? Now, I know you want to go to college. I went to college. Oren went to college. We're not knocking a 4-year degree and beyond. But now that you have these options that Oren and I, when we went to school, didn't have, is it something that you would consider or even tell your friends about, that if you know anybody who just doesn't like school, you can say, hey, I've got an idea for you.
School, I considered, but I like going to school. I want to experience the college life. I want to have fun. I want to make new friends, meet new people. I think college is like a one thing. I mean, we used to go to school for a very long time, but it's a one-time thing because after college, you just have to go to work for the rest of your life. So, it is a good deal. I'm not gonna lie. It is like, it's very good, but for me, ways to go to college, would maybe introduce it to some people that I know would consider, but for me, I'm gonna choose college.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you have college as an option. 2 years down the road and you're a sophomore in college and suddenly like your mom loses her job or your dad and says, sorry, kid, you're on your own now. At least you know you have a couple of options outside of, what am I going to do? Now I can't pay for it. I have to be strapped with $75,000 a year in debt to finish this goddamn thing. At least one knows there are other options that you can get paid well too. And you don't necessarily have to just be a tradesman. When Oren and I were in school, it's like you either are a professional or you're a plumber or an electrician. Now there's a lot of gray area. So Oren, I know you're a youth empowerment coach. I'm sure you're talking to the kids you're talking to about this kind of thing too. Are you guys also talking about, well, what if I don't like school? What are my options?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I'm a firm believer in that college isn't for everybody. And if you know that it's not for you, there's absolutely nothing wrong, but still have a plan of action to do something. Not just, there's some people who want to just go and work, but there's other opportunities. And several weeks ago, we watched a video that just talked about certificate programs and things of that nature, some of the more non-traditional routes. And there's a lot more options out there than there were 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that either you're a plumber or you're a doctor. There's so much gray area that, like, even if you like people, but you don't want to go and be a teacher, or you don't want to spend the money to go get all of that degree just to start out with, like what's the minimum salary? Not that great. There are other options for you. And if you don't like college, there are other options for you. Now, one has to pick one because there's plenty of other options besides minimum wage, even if you don't like college. But just a few months worth of a certificate. And these certificate programs, some of them are free, especially if you're youth between 18 and 24, a lot of free training. And then if you don't want that training, nothing is interesting to you, there are platforms like Coursera, I talk about a lot, or Udemy. These are two that are for like a monthly subscription, $49 a month, or some of it is free. You can get a certificate in cybersecurity and while you're there, you're networking, you're working on projects, you're talking to your teachers, and by the end, you've got your foot in the door for a job. So these non-traditional pathways are great to think about. The idea college is great for some careers, but for others, you can earn just as much or more without it. So if you're watching and thinking, okay, it sounds great, how do I actually get started? Like I said, you don't need a psychology degree anymore, but you do need some training. So like I said, the Coursera has a great Google Data Analytics professional certificate. And then they also have the IBM Data Analyst professional certificate. So these are like the two most popular ones right now. And then Udemy has the behavioral analytics and data visualization, and the customer behavioral analyst with SQL and Tableau. So these are a few different certificates you can get quickly while you're there online, you're networking, and when you finish, you get out the door with a job. So this type of quick idea, then within a few months, you are in a career. Then you can look around and say, oh, dear me, no, I don't like this at all. But then you've only wasted not that much money and a couple of months. And you can pivot and go to something that you do like, or Amari and I have talked about this before, get a low-hanging fruit, like a short, quick license in something, anything that's the quickest and highest paying. And then work in that while you're finishing up your college degree, or if you get out of your bachelor's and you want to go to grad school, that grad school is paid for much less than scholarships that are offered for undergrad. And so if you need to pay for grad school, it'll be nice to have a skill in your pocket. Oh, I've got this certificate. I'm going to go work in cybersecurity. Or I'm going to work in behavioral data analytics while I'm getting my master's in psychology. So it's a very low-hanging fruit, high return on investment certificate to get in behavioral data analytics. If you like psychology, if you like working with people, and you don't want to get a degree, just to get your foot in the door, start earning some money that's more than minimum wage, and it's a high demand career. So as we're talking, Oren, about the difference between certificates and college, and you're also speaking with your youth groups in New Jersey, are you coming across any kind of trend in thinking of that people want to still go to college, or are more people considering certificate options or apprenticeship options? Do you think it's changed in the few years that you've been doing this, or?
So I would say a majority are heading towards college, but some are definitely looking at certificate programs. And I have one young student. She's gonna do real estate school when she's finished high school. She's going into the real estate industry.
Oh, okay, so that's a whole nother thing, like self-employment and
Yeah, that one really. I was like, oh wow, that's cool. Like,
and sales. Yeah, okay. That's another extrovert thing to do that we can talk about. There are a few different ideas, but it depends on how risk averse you are, because real estate really relies on you getting out there, just like any sales. If you're not selling it, you're not making any money.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, I don't advise people to do things, especially youth. I want them to get into secure jobs that are not going to go away, future-proof careers. Real estate is great, but I want to guarantee that you get some money in your pocket and so that you have savings, that you can invest and retire early is the name of the game. So, Amari, you might be thinking that this is all well and good, but what's this going to do for me? So I want to remind you to take a career quiz, but I think you've done that, Amari, right? A career quiz, a personality quiz, you've done all of that. Was that your guidance counselor told you to do it, or you came up with it?
Wow, that's a lot.
And what about you, Oren? Do you suggest to your students that they take a career assessment? I think Naviance, or maybe Naviance is only talking about majors in college, but there's Naviance.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea.
Or personality quizzes, or what color is your parachute, to try to figure out what career best fits the personality.
No, we haven't done any assessments, but more so just hey, let's write down what some of your skills, some of the things you're passionate about, and just going from there.
Right. It's an exciting time for youth who were not able to enter into the high paying game. They were kind of stuck at, like, not that plumbers are low paid, But if you don't like college, then you're going to be blue collar kind of. If you're lucky enough to get into a union, you'll be fine. If not, you're going to be working at Uber Eats. How there's so many different options. So you can take a free career quiz. I'm sure you can find one online. You can enroll in a free course through Coursera or Udemy. They have free courses. You might even want to say to yourself, okay, my short-term goal in the next 6 months or before I enter college, I will complete the certificate program. So then I know that I have it and I did it with a very little amount of time or money. That's a possibility. And then, of course, getting hands-on experience, we're talking about always the best to either try to job shadow, intern, asking questions to somebody who has that job to figure out if it's a good fit for you. So, Mari, before we end, I know I've been talking a lot, but did you learn anything about psychology? The certificate we talked about, behavioral data analysis or analytics. Is it anything that you learned today that you didn't know?
Yes, I would say I didn't know that you could have a career and not really interact, like especially in psychology, especially with AI. I feel like when I hear psychology, I would think about people and being a people person. I didn't know there were so many different careers you could have in that field. I never heard of the ones you mentioned, so that's something I did learn.
Okay, good. Perfect. So I have on my YouTube channel, Hot Next Gen Careers, I've laid out the hottest trends in psychology certificates, like the one that we just talked about, behavioral data analytics, so that people can explore in a very quick way these kind of new careers where you can use psychology with AI, not letting AI disappear your job. Do you talk about these different, Oren, do you talk about the different psychology certificates or different certificates? I mentioned a bunch of them, cybersecurity and AI, IT, data analytics. Do you talk about certificate programs and platforms like Coursera too?
Yeah, we've talked about some different certificate programs, and there's an organization that actually they're in New York. I can't remember the name of it, but they came to my client's office and told us about a program they have for high school juniors and seniors to get them into IT and cybersecurity if they don't want to do. Excuse me.
Was it Perscalis?
Can't remember. I'd have to like look in
They
my
do
notes.
IT.
Yeah, there's organizations out there that cater to the teen population and have some certificate programs for those who are looking to go a non-traditional route. So for those who are interested in non-traditional routes, do some research. There's a lot of programs, a lot of options out there, programs that might be free, programs that might even pay you. Just do some research and ask questions if you aren't finding what you're looking for. Ask your teachers, ask your counselors, ask some mentors who might be in your life who can just kind of help guide you towards that.
Right, exactly. And now we're learning that these certificate programs are not just for computer geeks. They're for people who like people, and that there are certificates that use AI to blend to understand people more. And that because AI doesn't understand people, when you work with AI to help AI understand people and emotions and trends and behavior, you will not be replaced because AI needs the people. And then you'll be also working in the back end to analyze these trends with other people. So you'll be working on teams, and it is a way to collaborate, work with people, be an extrovert, use psychology. And so this kind of game is opening up. It used to be that IT and computers are only for computer geeks. It's only for introverts. And it's not that way anymore. AI needs people and needs teams of people. And so there's lots of ways to use psychology to work with AI. On that note, I will say thank you to both of you to really break it down. Oren, from your youth, talking to youth perspective, and Omari as a high school senior who's looking into what will be the best career path, what's going to be the best decision on a major or which college. it's always great to hear your perspective, because if you're thinking it, I'm sure so many others are as well. So again, thank you both, and I will catch you on the next episode. We're always talking about the best return on investment careers with or without a college degree, because there are many opportunities for our youth to succeed. We want to tell you about them in a quick way so that you can make the best decisions possible for your future. Thank you so much to both of you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and happy Valentine's Day. I see Amari is wearing red. I'm wearing red. Oren, where's your red?
I missed the memo.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, and thank you guys both so much.
Thanks for having me.
So I just